my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
Analyze this issue with us is Right Honorable, sorry about that, Opunabo Inkotaria, who's a human rights activist. He joins us virtually. Opunabo, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on the show. All right, let's get right into it. I mean, the 2023 elections are here at our doors. I mean, a lot of declarations and people are consulting. But beyond that, the state of the Nigerianness that we have often been talking about. What is your review so much right now about Nigeria? What is in Nigeria right now that you see?
You're talking of the state of Nigeria as it is right now, if I'm right.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
It's actually breaking. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. In synopsis, our political engine is overheated, social climate exceedingly inflammatory, and economic atmosphere highly combustive. We are headed slowly but steadily to a rendezvous with anarchy. And this is occasioned by the cataclysmic leadership we have right now, headed by Major General, I don't want to say President, Major General Mohammadu Buhari, who is heading a government that is completely rudderless. The hopes of Nigerians have been dashed. There was some sort of hope in 2014. Nigerians believed that the government, they voted the Jonathan government and by extension the Philippines government out of office with a conviction that the government led by President Mohammadu Buhari was going to effect the desired change. But the question now is, or rather the conundrum is, have we had that desired change? It's a resounding no. Things are worse. We talk of the electricity situation, we talk of fuel, we talk of the asphyxiating economy, and a plethora of other issues. I don't need to signpost all these issues because you're all Nigerians, you live in this country, and you're also faced with these problems. So I don't need to say that the General Buhari's administration is a complete failure. And to worsen it all, we have a president that has embarked on a sojourn, a long sojourn in the land of indiscretion and political water, notwithstanding the problems plaguing this nation. So, my summary is, this is a government. By the end of 2023, May 29, 2023, this is a government that will be found wanting in history. It's a government that has failed Nigerians woefully.
All right, Opunabo, one thing that seems to be rearing its head in Nigerian polity today and has refused to go away is the debate on zoning. Even a few days ago, I think it was on Tuesday, we heard the southern governors also come together after their meeting and declaring that Nigerians should look towards having a southern president come 2023. What's your take on the issue of zoning?
Well, zoning is meant to still the fears of the minorities in any nation. In America, it is called the college system. where you have, because definitely you have the majority and the minorities in every nation. And so if you talk of democracy or majoritarianism, it's a democratic principle. In other words, if you talk of democracy, you're talking of majority. No doubt about it. That's indisputable. But notwithstanding, what of the minorities in a country? Are you going to say they're not going to have this say? That is the issue. And so in order to address these numerical differences, the Americans ideated the issue of the policies. Otherwise, the likes of Hillary Clinton, the likes of Al Gore would have emerged as presidents of America because they had the numerical strength. They had the votes, but you had the college system. And that is to strike a balance in the interest of equity, fairness, and justice. That is why I think our founding fathers, not necessarily our founding fathers, we are talking of the period predating the 1999 general elections, decided on the issue of zones and talked of 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Because if we talk of zoning in Nigeria, for example, then it simply means the North will rule forever, because the North has the numerical strength. That's why they talk of zoning in Nigeria. And so this, like I earlier said, was meant to still the fears of the minority and to a very large extent ensure oneness, cohesion, and unity. That's why they came up with the idea of zoning. But I must confess that in as much as I'm a proponent of zoning, because the problem we have in the Southeast is occasioned by bewildering frustration and corroding bitterness. And that is because that they are not being considered as members or part of Nigeria in terms of political appointments. And so they are saying, no, if we are going to be second-class citizens in a country where we ought to be first-class citizens, then we don't have a business being part of Nigeria. And that's why they are talking of secession. Even in the South, where we talk of revenue generation and we talk of oil exploration and exploitation, a lot of us in the South, I'm from Rivers, so I'm from the South. A lot of us in the South, so much cannot be spirited out of the system, out of the region, with little or nothing to show for it. And why is so much spirited out with little or nothing to show for it? It is because we have the conviction that it is because we don't have somebody there that is going to be there in the image. When I mean there, the presidency, that is going to be there in the image of the South. And that is why we are being segregated against, we are being marginalized against, we are being discriminated against. And so we came up with that protest. So when you talk of zoning, but then given the overheated political engine, exceedingly inflammatory social climate, and highly combustible political atmosphere, I think what Nigerians need right now is somebody that can unify, because the tenuous legations of this country have never been so threatened. To unify this country and assure every region that you are part of this country and you're not a second-class citizen of this country. If we have that, I listen to your guests who talked of MKO Abiola. MKO Abiola imbued those qualities. And we talk of Olusegun Obasanjo, who became the presidential candidate of the PDP. The truth about it is that Olusegun Obasanjo emerged in order to assuage the Southwest. So if we talk of zoning, while I am a strong proponent of zoning, but as we speak right now, there's a difference between expediency and what is right and legality. Every part of the nation has a right to contest. No part of the nation is excluded from contesting. But is it expedient? That is the issue. And that is within the purview of the political parties, who will take into consideration the various issues at stake. And most importantly, somebody that is going to win the election for that party. So, because you have credible candidates in every region of the country, If you talk of meritocracy, you can find them in every region of the country. But people are against zoning because they believe that it will be a case of mediocrity against meritocracy. That's why a lot of people are saying, no, we don't need zoning. But nevertheless, anyway, it is within the bias, within the powers of the political party, taking under advisement the political nuances in the nation and the temperature of the nation, political temperature of the nation at present, to decide on who should emerge as their flag bearer in the forthcoming 2020 general election.
Okay, Opunabo, the PDP still remains divided along the north-south lines over its presidential zoning, whether we like it or not. It's a conversation that has been ongoing. Even though we know that...
I didn't get that.
I said the PDP remains divided along the north-south lines over its presidential zoning. I mean, it's a controversy that has continued to emerge. The Constitution does not, take away the right of anybody from contesting. In the Constitution, everyone has a right, to contest, regardless of whatever the party principle says. Yet, we have heard the South-South governors make demands that power should be handed over to the zone. The ticket, rather, should be handed over to the zone in the spirit of fairness, equity, and justice. Now, if you alienate other participants and contenders, is that not also an injustice within the political party calculations, knowing that the Constitution has given every candidate the right to contest for that election?
Yes, like I said earlier, if you listen to me carefully, I said everybody has the right. That the issue of zoning, like I said, was meant to steal the fears, like you have the college in America. That does not vitiate the potency or importance of majoritarianism. At the end of the day, it's not all about zoning. If you can zone it to the South-South, recently the South-South governors had a meeting and they were saying power must come to the South-South. You can zone it to the South-South. Even if it's zoned to the South-South, that it all depends on the political party. Let's say Party A.
I beg your pardon, I think there's been a freeze to his network. We'll definitely join Opunabo as he gets back with his network, connectivity. But, Nkoli, talking about, to zone or not to zone, I'm looking at this from a very critical angle. One, time is of the essence. And, the declaration yesterday also brings new emergence of new issues. However, again, if you're going to have a 37-man committee set up for zoning purposes within the PDP and they finally zone it to a part of the country within the political party structure, you have still zoned.
One thing about zoning, I think he's back with us. So, Opunabo, are you back?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Yeah, you can land on your point.
Yes.
Can you hear me now, please?
We can hear you clearly.
Absolutely.
You can land on your earlier points you were making.
You can conclude on your views.
Like I was saying, zone
is meant. Hello? Oh my God.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Go ahead, Opunabo. We can hear you clearly.
zoning.
I don't know what's wrong with this people. Zoning. Zoning is meant to palliate, it's meant to assuage the feelings of those that feel they have been marginalized. That is the whole essence of zoning, to ensure oneness, unity, and cohesion. But that does not mean that if a candidate from the north is not credible, if a candidate from the north is not accessible, it's not sellable to Nigerians. From the south, it's not sellable, it's not credible to Nigerians. And you have a sellable and credible candidate from the north, Nigerians are going to vote for the candidate from the south because it's from the south and in the interest of zoning. Not at all. That is a fleeting illusion. If you talk of zoning, you are talking of a credible candidate from the north against a credible candidate from the south. Nevertheless, it does not in any way, like I said, because majoritarianism is a democratic principle. So it does not in any way show the potential for the majoritarianism. That is where accommodation comes in. That is where negotiation comes in. So it is left to the parties to decide on who. And the parties at this point in time, the first thing that will flit through their mind will be who will win the forthcoming general election. So it is left for the parties to decide on who will win the forthcoming general election. Recently, the Southern governors met, and the argument was that it must be, the presidency must be zoned to the south. And I just laughed. Why? If you say the presidency must be zoned to the south, are you people united? That is one major issue. If you're united, because if you are not united, definitely you're going to split. And it will be a battle of ego. Let us take into consideration the recent feud between, which was gratuitous anyway, between Governor Obaseki of Edo State and Governor Wike of Rivers State. The Edo State governor, deputy governor, ventilated his views on the party structure in Edo State. He did not attack anybody. He did not have invective on anybody. He just said, no, this is Edo State. And we all know that in Nigeria, the governors are leaders of their parties in their various states. He said, no. Yes, we moved from APC to PDP, but we are now in PDP. And as the governor, we ought to be the leader of the party in PDP. But then, those who were in PDP before the defection had their misgivings. And so the deputy governor vented his views. What happened? The River State governor, Governor Wike, reacted, raising invectives on the deputy governor, took on break at even the governor, up to the point of questioning who the father of the deputy governor was. That smacks of depravity, I must tell you. And when you have such schism in the party, how do you expect the South to produce a presidential candidate? If a man tells you this is my problem, what I believe you should do is to address those problems and not make it personal. You went a step further to say who is the God, who is this father, who is this, up to the point of you being responsible or being an architect for the emergence of the governor as a governor in the last general election. My dear sisters, we all assist each other. There is nobody in this world that will say you have not been assisted. If you sponsor my wedding, does that mean you're going to sleep with my wife? If you sponsor my wedding, does that mean you're going to have unfettered access to my house? That's not, unless you have a ulterior motive in sponsoring my wedding. If somebody comes to River State, for example, to dictate to PDP in River State, what should happen? Will Wike brook it? He will not brook it. So unless you have this unity, the issue of a Southerner producing a candidate, a presidential candidate, will be a fleeting illusion. It's like being batting on a sticky wicket. So the point I'm trying to make in summary, it's not all about we have to produce the next candidate. It's all about it is our turn to do this. It is everybody's turn. We all have the right. All regions in this country have the right and reserve the right to show you. But then you reach accommodation. You strike compromises to ensure that you met. Otherwise, the North will rule forever. So the problem we are going to have with the Southern is producing a Southern president is simple. The gregarious, capricious nature, out of touch nature of our leaders.
All right.
In this ego, we see ego at the theater of politics with a crazy spin of lunacy. Then we are going to lose it. So the Southerners, they have to ensure that they produce a president who have to come together. Cross River State is not with the South. Cross River State is APC. That's what I mean by not with the South. Now, if, for example, now the River State governor wants to make as presidential candidate, will Edo vote for it? Will Cross River State vote for it? So how are you going to emerge?
All right, openable.
So when you talk of zoning, yes, we agree. It is meant to still the fears of the minority. But it is not a right of the minority. It is not a right, not at all. It has to be negotiated.
All right, it is not a right, everyone agrees, but it is also a way of uniting the people, because you cannot cross a bridge and then say the bridge should break because you feel you have crossed. That is exactly what some people are saying, that if all parts of the country have tested this presidency, then in the South, they should also be allowed. But my worry really about the zoning is, if you zone to the South, you have other people in the South also claiming to be at that seat. You have the Southwest, you have the Southeast, you have the South-South. Everybody wants to have a clinch. Like you have the APC now, which looks like it's zoning its presidency to the South, the Southwest. You can see some aspirants coming from there. In the PDP, you have other aspirants coming from the Southeast. But again, from the North, they are saying, well, it is a unifier, like you have said, that is important at this time. So is it about expediency now that is important, or about fair play for everybody to have that taste when it comes to zoning?
Like I already said, I said zoning, the whole essence of zoning is ideated to ensure oneness, to ensure cohesion, to ensure unity. So nobody feels discriminated against, nobody feels marginalized. That's the whole essence of zoning. And it is also recognized in the Constitution, because it's another way of saying federal character. It is recognized. America is a NATO place of democracy, modern democracy. And we have the college system there. The college system is also partly about zoning, because they want the minorities to also have their say, and to a very large extent, their way. Otherwise, Hillary Clinton would have emerged as the president, Al Gore would have emerged as the president. But they never did, because of the college system. They had the numerical vote, the strength, but the college system robbed them of. So, I don't have a problem with that, no doubt whatsoever. But the issue is, it is not a matter of rights. Even when it was zoned to the South, you still have the Northerners contesting. Even if today it is zoned to the South, you're still going to have when it was zoned to the South, the Northerners contesting. Even if it's zoned to the North, the Southerners will still contest, because it is their constitutional right. And you cannot rob anybody of his constitutional rights. That is why I'm saying, yes, majoritarianism is a democratic principle. Yes, you can't take that away. But you must strike, reach accommodation and strike an understanding, a balance. Because if you say it is my right, it is my right. No. But yes, it can be zoned to the South. Now, if you say it's going to be zoned to the South, you lobby.
Okay.
Not that you're going to say the North should never present a candidate. You lobby. And it depends on your clout. That will determine if it's going to be zoned to the South or if it's going to be zoned to the North. Especially when you consider the present political and economic situation. I told you there is building frustration and corroding bitterness. What Nigerians are after right now is, who will take us out of this doldrum? I also said that you have persons that can take you out of the doldrum in every zone. But then it also depends on the candidate you're going to put forward. If you put a candidate forward that Nigerians have reservations about, even if it is actually zoned to the South or zoned to the North, Nigerians will not vote for that candidate. But if you put a sellable candidate forward, I can tell you, and if that is in tandem with the zoning thinking of Nigerians, then they will vote for that person. So it has to do a lot with lobbying. And that's why I said the parties, it's the exclusive preserve of the parties, and the parties need to lobby. It is not just to sit down and say it is the turn of the South, it is the turn of the North. it is the turn of the East. It is not going to work that way.
All right.
Because we all have the right to contest, and you can't rob anybody of his right.
Okay.
So the presidential candidate will determine who will win the election for that party in the forthcoming general election.
Okay, so again, you have said it is now down to negotiations, lobbying, and having those conversations, regardless of whoever wants to come out for whatever zone. Okay, now we know that there is a 37-man panel zoning committee being set up from the different states, 36 states to be precise. And, well, at the end of the day, they're supposed to, zone to a particular side. And what then happens? Will they be the ones to lobby and also initiate consultations with, or are they supposed to be excluded from the negotiation and leave the negotiation just within the calculations of the party members and the NWC? Because at the end of the day, even though you say everybody has a right to contest, it will be foolhardy for anyone to throw money down the drain, knowing already where the party is tilted to and if the party has a consensus. We remember when, I think on Sunday, Saraki Tambuwal and Bala Mohammed said, well, the three of them had decided to produce a consensus coordinate within themselves, and then we also hear this conversation from the South side. The 37-man zoning committee, what will be their major priority in terms of candidate choice? Do you think it will help?
The mandate of the committee principally should be how to first ingratiate themselves with Nigerians and also convince Nigerians that the presidency should get to a particular region of the country. They cannot in any way force Nigerians. You can't coerce Nigerians. You can't deny Nigerians of their rights. It has to do with superior reasoning and argument. It has nothing to do with brute force. You must convince Nigerians why it ought to be. It could be on sentimental grounds, not necessarily legal grounds. Because like I always tell people, I say when legality is antithetical to national cohesion, we must allow legitimacy outdistance legality. Yes, it is the right of Nigerians to contest. Any Nigerian, provided there are procedural obligations, provided you meet those procedural obligations, it is your right to contest. Nobody can deny you that right. But beyond the right, we are talking of acceptability. And that is where legitimacy comes in. There's a difference between legitimacy and legality. And that's where legitimacy comes in. So the principal mandate of the committee is to ensure that they are able to convince Nigerians why the president should come from a particular zone in this country. It is not a matter of right. So their level of persuasion, their persuasive ability will now come to play. And that is cardinal, that is key in this particular issue. It has nothing to, they could come in with all kinds of arguments. The North has produced, the South has produced, the North this, the South this. Like I said to somebody, I was on a sister station yesterday, and I said, if we talk of zoning, it is not all about the president. If the president is, let's say for example, from the North, the vice president should be from the West. The Senate president should be from the East. The Speaker of the House of Reps should be from the South. Then you talk of equity, fairness, and justice. Then you talk of fair play. So when we talk of zoning, it should not just be myopic. We should not just talk of the president himself. We should talk of the key areas. Now the Southeast is saying, oh, we have been marginalized because they believe, apart from the HDK, they believe that they've not handled any major sensitive position in this country. So the bottom line, the summary is simple. It is your persuasive ability. Your ability to convince Nigerians why the president must come from a particular region. Like I said, I'm a strong proponent of zoning. Very strong, but I am just what my fellow Christian Inquiry. One man out of the hundreds of millions of Nigerians. You have people with divergent views, and you also have people with credibility from every region of the country. It is the ability of the parties to convince Nigeria why it must come from a particular region, from a particular zone, because it is not a matter of right. You cannot deny anybody. I can contest against my twin brother. It is my right. It is also his right to contest against me. So how am I going to convince those behind us, our supporters, that it must not be my twin brother? I must be the one. Is what is key in this issue of zoning, because it is the right of every Nigerian that has met the condition precedent to contest for the presidency of this country. And more so, for the South, I must say this, we must ensure unity and cohesion and not come up with statements that are divisive in nature. Our leaders must ensure that they choose the right words from the word basket and not to further aggravate the already inflammatory political situation. We must not. Otherwise, especially in the South, the Northerners are wiser. I can tell you that. Especially in the South, our leaders must choose their words properly from the word basket so that we don't further jeopardize our chances.
Very key point there, and that is how we'll wrap up this discussion today. Very key point. Choose your words with decorum so that you don't overheat or already heated up polity. So we thank you very much, Opunabo in Kataria, a human rights activist who has joined us virtually to look at zoning and, of course, the debate on where the presidency and other electoral offices should go to. The 7-man committee are already working, so we see how it all pans out. A zoning and South Governor's resolution for Southern presidency has been the talking point this morning.
Thank you so much, Okunabo. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. At this point, we'll bring you the state of human rights.
Stay with us.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. Kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.